I'll explain what happened here in a second.
You're still in the dark with the lights off.
Am I?
Yeah, I'm seeing nothing but black, but I am hearing you anyway.
Well, let's I can see you and I can see me. Let me explain what happened. First, I'll get us started. That was stressful. I'll just say that. Good morning, everyone. This is the All About Nothing podcast, kind of daily show. I am Barrett Gruber, host of the All About Nothing podcast with Zach King, and you can find me on social media at Barrett Gruber. With me is Bill Kimler, host of Black, White, and Blue in the South, and with Dr. Jamil Brooks. You can follow him at politicalbillsc. It is Thursday morning, and it was so. I'll just say, most of the time, I love the interaction and the ability to go back and forth between Apple devices. It is it makes things very easy to be able to switch between an iPad and a computer and a phone and things like that, and it's terrific. I do. This morning, trying for some reason, I went from my desktop to my iPad. And in that switch, my mouse was now stuck on my iPad and I couldn't get it back over to the desktop. That has never happened. I didn't even know that was a function.
Have you seen a doctor about that? They have medications nowadays to treat that ailment. When your mouse is stuck, just take the little pill. But I'm seeing you now. Your video just popped up.
Okay.
So now I'm talking to a human rather than to Dave in the spaceship.
Yeah, no, if anybody was watching me on the TikTok, because the TikTok just is a view of me talking to you, they hear you, but they, which is for the better, by the way. That is certainly the preferred way to see this show. Not according to the comments. But yeah, no, I was frantic. That was stressful. So
it was also funny when you put me in the back room, so to speak, as you're getting the technology prepped, and then I see a countdown. Usually, you see the number 6, 5, 4. Well, it went 5, 4, 3, 4, 3. I mean, and then 2 and 1 popped up at the same time and overlapped each other. I mean, it felt like I had just dropped some acid before this show, and I was seeing weirdness with the clocks.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Great way to start. Should we just wrap up now? Because I think that was about as much entertainment as we're going to squeeze out of this episode.
Yeah, good show. Thursday.
Yeah, good show.
Done, over with.
See you Tuesday. See you next Tuesday.
Always with the see you next Tuesday. I was going to start with I guess an article that sort of popped up on my phone that when I initially read it, I didn't think it was that big a deal. JD Vance was at a donor speech in Ohio recently, and during that luncheon or dinner or whatever it was, he sort of gave a funny anecdote to the Republican donors about his relationship with Donald Trump and how they're very jovial together. Donald Trump makes jokes, he plays pranks on him. It almost sounds completely opposite of what we see as Donald Trump. But he said during a very heated call with some foreign diplomat, Donald Trump apparently muted the phone, and he muted the phone and then said the word nuclear to JD Vance, where he then hit the red button on his desk. And JD Vance apparently went into panic mode immediately just before a butler walked in with a Diet Coke. So I thought about that a little bit.
I want to slow down here and make sure I understood the story. This was JD Vance telling the story?
Telling the story to Republican donors at
how Donald Trump pushed the red button on his desk in front of him.
Yeah.
After a call went bad. Okay. Yeah. And then a butler walks in with a Diet Coke.
Yeah. So part of Donald Trump's
I'm sorry, there's no more to the story because it just sounds like a dream fragment.
There is a little bit more. Okay. That the only thing that did so that was it. That basically.
Oh, so the red button was ordering the Diet Coke.
Right, but he was messing with JD Vance to as if he was shooting a nuclear bomb at some diplomat's house. But The only thing it really did was confirm that there actually is a red button. So this is one of the things that while everyone in the media talks about it, that Donald Trump has this red button that sends his butler in with a Diet Coke.
There's one thing to be maybe metaphorical about a red button,
right.
where that symbolizes an actual more serious activity.
Yeah. I thought about it, initially when I read it, I was like, okay, I get it. I see why that's funny. I see that's why something's funny that you would tell a group of donors to Republican donors that are going to then donate money eventually to JD Vance's presidential campaign. But then I started to go into like the actual breakdown of what it takes for a person to do something like that, like the effect that it would potentially have on JD Vance, or if it was a real, but Donald Trump may be a sociopath. I mean, it's a little awkward to like, because we say it, we joke about it, but then we have these little actions, temper tantrums he'll have, but some of the things that you wind up hearing that he's done feel like sociopathic tendencies, especially that one. So anyway, I thought that was interesting.
So I have to ask, why were you at this Republican Donors Club watching JD Vance speak? That's what I don't understand.
Well, money influences politics, and
I see that.
If I'm not in there with the money, then I can't influence the politics. I don't know. I can't even continue on with that joke. That makes me feel uncomfortable. I wanted to, do you have anything you wanted to discuss this morning?
No, I just want to discuss, why are we doing this still? Oh my God, this morning was rough.
Oh my gosh, yes it was. I assume you had some thunderstorms roll through your area last night.
Yeah.
They were pretty bump and roll. There was a pretty good significant amount of rain that dropped. I think we got about 1.25 inches before it was all said and done with. I know a lot of places got more. There's still power outages across the Midlands of South Carolina. So, well, if you don't, then I was gonna see if you wanted to respond in real time to some comments that were left on some of our shorts.
I would love to talk about our shorts. Let's go.
So this is so we have a few channels that we post our shorts to, Big Media Pods, as well as the All About Nothing podcast on YouTube. And YouTube is typically where we get like the most I don't want to describe them as disgusting individuals, but the most
opposing viewpoints.
There you okay.
We'll take the high road for now, before we dive into the muck.
So we posted a video of just the other day poking fun at Donald Trump misspelling his own name.
Yes.
So one of the comments that was left was from I'm Brock Waldo, at Brock Waldo on YouTube. And
Brock Waldo, if that is your real name.
He said, the K is right beside the L on the keyboard. It's a typo, not a misspelling. There is a difference. And I agree. That is a typo. Donald Trump spelled his first name Donald Donakd or whatever. Yes, yeah. You are correct. It is a typo, not a misspelling. It became a misspelling, however, when he didn't reread it and then submitted it for the world to see.
Yeah.
That's the point.
And of course, we'll just apply the Biden test. If a Biden tweet had Biden, President Biden listed in it,
right,
there would be no end to the ridicule.
Exactly.
They would be holding hearings in Congress right now over his abilities, because the man can't spell his own name, right? It would just be the end of the world. And now you can see some of the Trumpians just throw themselves on top of the grenade here and excuse the behavior of their guy. But then again, what president? I forget the misspelling of the name. the fact that he keeps referring to himself in the third person is freaky.
Yeah.
Like, this is his account. He's talking to you. And as I'm talking to you, Barrett, I don't keep saying Bill Kimler says this, Bill Kimler says that. I'm just talking to you. You know who you're talking to. That's the freaky part. And so that then opens you up to misspelling your own name or typoing your own name. But let's just rewind and talk about the freaky origin. There is something wrong with constantly referring to yourself. And the fact that he ends every one of his tweets with, "Thank you for your attention to this matter." like he's the CEO of a paper mill factory, right?
Well,
bizarre.
That I think at times he does think of the United States as one of his businesses. That I think that we recognize that some of the things that he does are reactions in how a CEO of a company might respond if your company only had 17 employees. Like I've worked for small businesses where the owner of the company was a complete buffoon. I mean, people would talk about him like he was a great speaker or that he was a good salesman, things like this. But then if you had the opportunity to listen to him actually talk, you recognize that those people were just kissing his ass. He's an idiot. Like they're like the only reason he owns his own business because he's incapable of working for someone else's. That's what I would get. Let's see. Kathy Murray, 86, said, "Oh my God, impeach now. Shut up. What have you two idiots done for America?" And I would just like to point out, this is it.
We save America every day. Like, think about it. Have we been bombed with a nuclear weapon since you and I have gone on the air every Tuesday, Thursday?
Right.
And no, because we are holding it back. And I wouldn't want a chance not having this show on a Tuesday, Thursday. Now, there are some days I don't appear, but you're here to keep it going and to keep the safety of the United States in check. And for that, I thank you. And I think we should be thanked. Bill Kimler and Barrett Gruber should be thanked.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Barrett Gruber accepts your thanks. And I hope that Bill Kimler I'm going to get this fucked up. I'm going to mess this up. And I hope that Bill Kimler accepts Barrett Gruber's thanks.
And what was the name of that account again?
That was Kathy Murray 86.
Ooh, isn't that kind of a code for unaliving somebody, right?
Yeah,
remember that you're not allowed to use those numbers anymore.
Yeah,
I could have sworn I saw somebody put that number on a poster at a protest, and everybody was calling for them to be investigated by Secret Service. So I think that post was a veiled threat against us. I think our lives have been threatened.
No longer can we ever use multiples of 80. Multiples of
don't even say it.
Oh, 43. No longer can we multiply 43 by 2. All right.
You can say 87 minus 1. That is allowed, but you can't say that other number anymore. Okay. That is verboten.
Can I say 43 times 2?
If that's how the math works, yes. Let me get my calculator.
Let's see. Chris Sanchez on the same video said misspelled or just fat fingered typo. What a clown. So I'm not sure if, and Chris, you can certainly respond if you're around one day, but you are absolutely welcome to tell us if we are the clowns or if Donald Trump is the clown. I kind of like the.
Well, no, he said fat fingers, so he was definitely insulting the president here.
You're right. I think you're right.
Yeah, when you're talking about his grubby little sausage nubbins, you're insulting him, and he is on our side. So thank you, Mr. Sanchez, Mrs. Sanchez. I can't tell. It was Chris Sanchez.
It was no, hold on. It was Chris Sanchez. It was
Chris. So I can't tell if it's Christine or Christopher.
Right. Yeah.
But thank you.
They were on our side, I think. Ricardo Fernandez on a video where I talked about Donald Trump and Melania Trump's back and forth, I guess, sort of situation where she obviously despises him. I mean, there's no denying this. Ricardo Sanchez says the protesters are clueless concerning immigration law, same as the pro-Pally clown face that can even tell you from which river to which, you know the rest. I don't understand quite.
I just want to say, what was that phrase? Is that from the river to the ocean? Is that allowed to be said?
I think we can say that.
From the river to the fjord. Can we say that?
Yeah, I think you can. I think you can.
Again, I'm trying to see what words and numbers are we allowed or not allowed to say anymore, because we do now have word police that the right wing has it's inflicted upon us. There are now forbidden phrases, forbidden numbers, forbidden bodies of water. We're not allowed to mention anymore.
Well, these are words that they're allowed to say and use, but if they hear them, then it triggers them into what is got to be just an emotional seizure. Like,
so there's something about immigration law and then going on trips from one body of water to another. I wasn't following that thought.
I'm not either, and this is one of the things I suffer from with some of these comments on YouTube, is that they don't. Honestly, it doesn't even make sense in reference to what the video was. I mean, he's talking,
and it's in such contrast to the comments you get under TikTok from Oxford professors, Pulitzer Prize winning authors, scientists. I mean, the engagement you get on TikTok is so different than what you get on YouTube. It's amazing.
So the same video about Melania and Donald Trump. So it was the one where I talked about how there was someone who did a lip reading of what Melania and Donald Trump said to each other during his parade. And
was I on that episode? I don't remember that.
I don't remember. I can't tell what shirt I'm wearing. I'm having to draw these from memory, so it's entirely possible that it may have been on the likelihood it was on last week's show with Zach and Fry, which is, by the way, how I'm going to have to start referring to the two of you, because even now I'm confusing it. So Kimler and Fry. That's how I'm gonna have to. So
sounds like a really terrible law firm.
Kimler and Fry.
Yeah, it sounds like a law firm that defends snow cone factories. You know,
or it's a seaside shanty restaurant where you sell nothing but fried fish, and you can get it Kimler and fried. Maybe. I don't know.
No.
So on the same video about the Melania Trump, Donald Trump lip reading, whatever, someone left a comment, said, George Soros has been funding these violent protests and has been spending money to subvert our democracy for a long time. Completely out of context. Don't remember remotely why we would have been discussing George Soros. I know that you and I have accepted I'm gonna say I'm a little disappointed in the menial sized check that I received from George Soros. I was able to buy a number 2 Ticonderoga lead pencil, graphite pencil. That was it. So, but yeah, George Soros is paying us, just in case there's any question. With George Soros.
So you ask, why are we up at 5:30 in the morning doing this show? It's because our boss daddy is telling us we have to, so we're just following orders. You think a normal human being would do this? Hell no. Hey, what about the video we did which I cracked up? You posted recently about the finger puppets and the foreign intel briefings.
Okay,
that was a funny video you put together.
Let me highlight some of those. So I was talking about how in order to get Donald Trump to pay attention to the intelligence briefings, which even during his first term, they said that he did not want to read them. He did not want them read to him. He just didn't want to do them. And this did trigger some people. One of the comments was, better than Biden, still Lou. I'm guessing.
How do you spell that last one? Still L-O-U? Lou?
Still L-O-O.
Still Lou.
So I'm guessing that was a typo, which then became a misspelling. When you hit the submit button, that's my rule.
Yeah.
So that was from Sean Thompson, 1354.
All right, Sean Thompson, 1354. We're going to have a while to recover from that zinger.
Yeah. 1979 NDD says, God bless Donald Trump, and then 8 hearts. This is on the finger puppet one. Turbo Shred 13 says, Trump rules, this show drools.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, I can't take anything away from him on that one. That he's not wrong. Let me see. I got to switch to the other account to get the other ones, but some of those on the finger puppet one were the ones that I found to be some of the most entertaining. So let me see. I know there's got to be more. Well, that's disappointing. Let me switch back over to the content and then the shorts, because sometimes they're not as easy to find some of these. So I'm wrong. On the All About Nothing, where it got hundreds of views, it did not actually get any comments. So all of the comments were over on Big Media. So here we go. Finger puppets. There were 12 comments that were left on the finger puppets. So, well,
11 of them were mine. So, funniest show ever. Boy, does Barrett look good. Those are all mine under my aliases.
So John Chapman 6534 says, this is disinformation. Anyone can tell you that he sits through all of these intelligence briefings with all of his cabinet members. Tulsi Gabbard never said any of that stuff. That's what he said. I did respond to this one. I said, you might want to go look up the difference between a cabinet meeting and an intelligence briefing. Cabinet secretaries are not in attendance for intelligence briefings because the Secretary of Agriculture doesn't need to know about the nuclear threat from Iran in their daily, briefings, whatever. So then he apologized. He said, but he did it with exclamation marks, which makes me think he's being sarcastic. He says, apologies. I misspoke. This again is John Chapman. I meant his intelligence briefings. You're the only one who has yet to look up the actual intelligence briefings and who was there. It's a good try. I'm glad you're still trying and still keeping up with the propaganda. So here's the thing. Donald Trump and JD Vance are the only mandatory people that are supposed to be involved in intelligence briefings. And that's all we know. We don't know who else is involved in these, except that it's the National Security Advisor. And it's not like the entire cabinet gets invited into these things because they're not involved in national security from their positions. Do you think that the Department of Transportation, unless there's been some sort of a direct threat to the highways and byways and airports and things like that, the Secretary of Transportation isn't going to be involved in an intelligence briefing?
Well, one thing we do know is that Linda McMahon is involved. I mean, she is critical to these intelligence briefings because she's the one that's lacking the most intelligence. Remember, this is the same lady that was praising A1 sauce in elementary schools and how it was going to revolutionize education.
Right.
So, we got to have her in there.
Mandatory. Absolutely mandatory. Let's see and then he comes back. I didn't even go any further with this. I decided that this was the point where I stepped off the train. But he comes back and he says, why don't you just go watch some videos or Google it to see the real truth inside instead of just looking at it through TikTok or CNN or MSNBC?
Yeah, why didn't you just pull up the intelligence briefings on YouTube and watch what actually happens so you can see who's in there and whether he's interested or not? I don't know why you didn't pull that up.
Well, I'd love to.
Why don't you play it now? Just Google in intelligence briefing video and we'll watch the recordings.
So here's the problem. And based off of his comment, I did try. There are no videos of intelligence briefings. Intelligence briefings by the National Security Intelligence or the National Security Director. Those do not exist. Those are done in private, usually in one of those rooms that we talk about where you're not allowed to take your phones in. These are I mean, the word intelligence is right there that this guy Chapman just sort of, I don't know, just skirted past. Like,
what did the user account Joe Biden and then N69 have to say? That's a deep reference. Did you get that?
Yeah. RJ, our
very good.
Incarcerated whatever. Let's see.
I don't want to blow past that, just so our audience knows what that means. We have a state house rep who is in jail right now.
Sitting state house rep.
He hasn't been booted out yet. He hasn't resigned, but he has been charged with 10 counts of child pornography and child endangerment.
Yeah.
And he used the alias Joe Biden with 3 N's 69 in his chats. And it just tells you the derangement of this guy. And this guy was one of the founders of the South Carolina House Freedom Caucus.
I want to just to correct you. It's actually because I have it right here in front of me. Joe Biden in 69.
So it was 4 N's after the.
There are 4 N's in the Joe
N's.
Biden.
I was off by an N. Okay.
69. Yeah. And also Eric Rentling for some reason. Eric Rentling is for some reason. Another comment. Another comment. John Chapman again. Apparently just triggered this dude. He did not have a good day. That's all I can assume. But he said, I bet you voted for Kamala Harris. Well,
wow.
You win. I did vote.
He
for
caught
Kamala
you.
Harris.
You were the one who voted for her. I would never admit that.
Yeah. Now I'm not sure.
Apparently, 80 some million people voted for her, but
right.
You were the one.
John Chapman also commented again. I apologize for using the phrase intelligence meetings versus cabinet meetings. You got me, but it doesn't make it any less right. I didn't mention cabinet meetings in this video. It was intelligence briefings. That it has nothing to do with it. And then his final comment on that video was beta male energy. I'm not entirely certain how that's supposed to be like an insult, because I'm perfectly fine with my beta male energy.
Well, I think what we need to do is we have to pull out our personal firearms, right? And put them on display in our show. And that would promote us to alpha male energy.
I am going to.
That's all it takes.
To close out the John Chapman portion of this show, I'm just going to.
I feel like I've been replaced as co-host. You might as well put John Chapman in. He's got a lot more to say in the show than I do.
I'm just going to say this. I think his dad should have pulled out. That's
ooh.
Yeah. That whatever. That's that was the last one. We can do more of those. We can go back and do more of those on the next episode.
Not until the quality of the comments increases. I mean, they weren't even good zingers.
They did feel a little weak.
We need a little more. We need you guys to up your game. It was very weak pudding for us to be playing in.
It is. Yeah, the comments, I had a conversation with Ami. She agreed that they are typos and not misspellings when Donald Trump typos his name. My argument in respect to that is that I do not believe that Donald Trump needs to say his own name. I mean, unless he's trying to clarify who it is for him who is speaking, fine, whatever. But when you mistype something, it happens. We all do it. But once you hit the submit button and that becomes permanently available for every single person on the planet, or the 30,000 daily users that log into Truth Social, I guess, I want to say a quarter of those have to be the news, because that's where they get most of their content about Donald Trump.
Don't every one of his posts automatically get logged into the National Archives under the presidential record?
Yes, they do.
So that post where he referred to himself as Donald Turnip, that is now part of the National Historical Archive.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Sure. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. No, it does. I also saw that the National Archives, apparently there are 3 National Archives facilities that are going to be closing to be, they're digitizing a lot of the content to make it more available for the people of the United States, and I guess around the world, but they're going to be digitizing that to sort of an online library, which I think is really cool. When and this is one of the things that I am always disappointed about, when there is a spin to what an article is, because the headline was National Archives office or National Archives closing, and then you have to go into the article to find out why they're closing the National Archives, and it's literally because 2 facilities are moving, 3 of them are being closed because the content's being digitized. And I will just say, regardless of whether it's the left or the right, leaning news media, come on, guys, try a little harder. I mean, don't try to pull us in with a scandalous headline like that. It sucks. It's an important thing what they're doing, because the National Archive needs to digitize as much as they possibly can. Some facilities are falling. Some facilities don't get the maintenance they need. Some facilities. there are National Archives facilities that are literally a shack that is simply just holding papers. And so that, you know, they're not closing them because they don't want the information available. They're closing them because they need to be upgraded. So it's a good use of taxpayer money as far as I'm concerned.
Didn't expect that little monologue at the end of our show. That was a wild twist.
Also, I don't think it was Donald Trump's choice or his administration's choice to do any of this.
Don't you have some plugs you need to get in before we close up? Because you've been plug free today.
Well, I'm gonna plug them in at the beginning before on the.
Oh, I see. You in post edit, you go and stick in the plugs.
That's right.
Gotcha.
That's right.
ZJZdesigns.com.
On that bombshell, it's gonna wrap it up for today. Thank you very much for tuning in.
That was for Mom. I was hoping Mom was listening.
I'm sure she is. I'm sure she is. She probably really appreciates that. Big thanks for everybody for tuning in. Don't forget, you can follow me at Barrett Gruber and Bill at politicalbillsc. You can catch us live every Tuesday and Thursday at 5:30 in the morning. And I guess until next time, you got to.
Yeah, let's not do this again.
No. Do you want to take a week off? We can take a week off. Oh.
I have no vacation scheduled this year.
I actually have some time off coming up, but I'll probably still do this. This may be a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday thing during my time off because I'm not going anywhere. And I enjoy.
I thought you were going to go camping, and we can do some live footage from the bear shitting in the woods behind you while you're talking away.
Here's the proof.
Yeah,
bears really do shit in the woods. Yeah. Until next time, you all stay safe.
My dad would always say, "Does the Pope shit in the woods?"
What?
You mix up the two things. Is the Pope Catholic and does a bear shit in the woods? He would always say, "Does the Pope shit in the woods?" And then that just ends the conversation.
You win. Catholic. You all stay safe, be kind, and keep your hands to yourself. Oh, my mom said.